Many, many years ago, there was a great city called Nineveh, the greatest city of the great Assyrian Empire. They had beautiful houses, fantastic gardens, a strong wall and strong soldiers. Whenever they wanted something, they just went out and stole it from the people who lived around. They said to themselves, "We're like lions. We can take whatever we want." So God spoke to his friend Jonah. "Go to that great city and tell them that I know how bad they are. They just take what they want. They don't let the little people live." But Jonah was scared. He ran away in exactly the opposite direction. Nineveh was in the northeast. Jonah went to the southwest. Nineveh was a great city. Jonah went to a little seaside town. "I need to run away as far as possible," he said to himself. "I'm scared of going to Nineveh. They'll eat me up like lions." And the furthest place he could think of was right at the other end of the great sea. Jonah found a boat and got on board. God had to get him back, but what could he do? He sent a strong storm. The sailors were terrified. They prayed that the storm would stop. They held on to the boat with all their strength. They threw cargo overboard. They needed everyone to help. But Jonah was lying in the bottom of the ship, sound asleep. The captain found him there and said, "What are you doing asleep? At least pray to your God for help." Then the sailors said, "Let's draw lots to see who has got us into all this trouble." The captain held a bunch of straws in a cloth, all the same length except one, which was short. Each man, trembling and fearful, pulled one of the straws out, terrified that they would pull the short straw. Then it was Jonah's turn. He tugged the straw bit by bit, and suddenly there was no more to come. Jonah had drawn the short straw. "Who are you?" cried the captain. "What are you doing here? Why have you brought this trouble on us?" Jonah said, "The Lord my God told me to go and speak against Nineveh, but I ran away in the opposite direction." "That was an awful thing to do," said the sailors. "How can we stop this storm?" Jonah said, "Throw me into the sea, and then it will calm down." The sailors tried rowing all the harder to the shore, but it was no good. "Lord, forgive us for what we're about to do," they sobbed. And they picked Jonah up and threw him overboard. Jonah plunged down deep in the murky waters. But the Lord sent a big fish who opened her mouth and swallowed Jonah whole. God wanted Jonah to live. Inside the fish belly, it was dark and squelchy, and it stank. Jonah was in the belly for 3 days and 3 nights. He called out to God, "Lord, I've been such a fool, but you know everything. I thought I would drown in the sea, but you sent this fish to save me. Now I will truly keep my promise and serve you as a good friend." So God told the fish to spit Jonah out of her mouth. And Jonah landed safely on a beach. Whoomp! He sank his toes in the silken sand, wondering what to do. And once again, God spoke to Jonah. "Go to Nineveh and give them the message I gave you." This time, Jonah went the right way. The city was so big it took 3 days to walk through it. Jonah told them everything the Lord said, and that he was angry with the bad things they did. The people were so sorry. They took off all their party clothes and wore rough sacks instead to show how sad they were. When the king heard about it, he was sorry too. He took off his crown, put on a sack and sat down in a big pile of ashes, and ordered everyone to stop eating and drinking so they could pray to God. And God heard the prayer of the people and decided to forgive them. Jonah was angry. "I knew you would forgive them," he said. "I'm going to sit here until you destroy that city." And that is what he did. He sat down in a grump on a hill outside the city. It was very hot on the hillside, so God made a tree grow up to give Jonah some shade. Jonah liked sitting in the shade. He was glad the tree was living there. But then God sent a worm wriggling through the soil. It bit through the roots of the tree, and the tree shriveled up. Jonah was furious. He jumped up and down. "I don't know why I bother," he yelled. But God said, "Jonah, you bother because I asked you to help me save the lives of these people. You liked the tree when it was alive, and I want to keep the people of this city alive too." And so the city of Nineveh was saved, alive, with all its people and animals, thanks to Jonah, and especially thanks to God.